Hi, and welcome to the Green with Tiffany podcast. I'm your host, Tiffany Page, and in this show, we'll explore topics of sustainable living, all aspects of health and wellness, of people and planet, and how we're all interconnected. Join us on this journey to live better and more sustainably by improving our health, our families, and the world with the choices that we make. All right, I think we're a go. Hey there. Welcome to Green with Tiffany. I'm so happy you could join us. And I am here with a good friend of mine, actually. So this is going to be a fun conversation. This is Rebecca Mink. She is the founder and CEO of Mink Vegan Leather, Shoes, and Accessories. So she's added some fun things to her line that I can't wait to talk to her about. So thanks, Rebecca, for taking the time. So excited to speak to you today.
Thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to be here and chat with you about what's going on.
So I met Rebecca. I just gave you a little backstory. I've been in the green space for a while now. I think this is going to be my 10-year anniversary. And there was an event called Opportunity Green. And it was kind of a business, like business to business. I mean, it was all types of people in the sustainable world. And Karen Solomon was the woman who ran it. And we both have Chihuahuas and we both had them with us in our bags. And she came over to me and she's like, you just have to meet Rebecca Mink. You guys are going to just get along so great. And you both have these these dogs, Chihuahuas. And so she introduced us and we were together for the rest of the day. And we've been friends ever since. So I just love that story.
It's a very, very cool story. It is because it was so unusual. I think even at 10 years ago, it was a little bit more unusual to be with a dog. And it was extremely unusual to be at a green eco conference because there wasn't many.
That's true.
So
that's true. We both still have our Chihuahuas today. So that's also.
Yeah. No, I'm not going anywhere fast.
Your little monkey and my Lily. Yeah.
Yeah. They're amazing.
So with that, you've been in this game even longer. So you have like 20 years in this field, and especially something so specific as vegan shoes is how you started.
Yes.
Way ahead of its time. Like
yes.
I just appreciate your passion for it. And I'm sure there must have been so many hurdles along the way. And I just wondered how do you choose vegan shoes of all things when you started?
Well, thanks for saying that because it's been a really long journey. It's been quite something, and acknowledging that I don't even acknowledge it myself. I just try to ignore it and keep going. But why vegan shoes? I'll just say how it started because that was something that was missing in the market that I needed. And that's how a lot of things start for a lot of products. But specifically, I was a wardrobe stylist to celebrities. So I was dressing them in beautiful outfits, and they were on the red carpets, they were in movies, they were doing awesome things that were high profile. And at the time, there was just a few plastic shoes that were available for people that were looking for vegans that were not comparable to the fashion forward, high quality, top tier, shoes that were out there in the world. And one of the biggest problems was that I was vegan and I was a stylist and I could get every single part of their clothing and options to be non-leather, no fur, and really find the right alternatives, but not shoes. And I was just really had been into shoes even more than any other fashion item. And I'm like, I'm going to figure out how to do this. And really took it on to create the best vegan shoe in the world before people really even understood the word vegan. So it was quite a task.
Yeah. So that's the really special part is you really want a luxury supreme is the word I hear you using now, vegan shoe. So it's not just something that's a temporary thing. This is something you really, want to have be special and last.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. I know that sustainability is a very important thing to you and your followers and myself as well. And, we have shoes that women have had 15 years and and still going strong. We have shoes that have been resold multiple times. We have stories of shoes that are going to be handed down to their daughters. We have shoes that are on shelves in celebrities' houses. So we've got really an idea that, making an amazing shoe that lasts is a really worthwhile thing in the sustainability department. But also we've been really focused on making the materials themselves sustainable. And that's what brought us to the vegan leather.
And so you actually have this new vegan leather. This is something kind of fairly new coming that you've been working with. I mean, you've probably been working on it a while, but bringing it to the world is fairly new. Is that right?
Yeah, we're not bringing it to the world yet.
Well, that's the hope.
Yeah, that's coming soon to theater near you. It's like we're raising funds right now to really take that up to the level that it should be, with all the competition that's out there. Vegan leather is a hot item, and the reason that it's hot is because people are buying it more than ever, and we are one of the people that are looking to find the best materials. And what we found is we did reverse engineer testing on fabrics for 21 years. This is an extreme amount of time to be able to work with all of the up and coming sustainable materials, all of the vegan leathers that ever came out over those years, and really figuring out exactly what is the best part of all of them and wanting to have that be in one item. And the one thing that we found is that with shoes it's a very difficult process on the leather itself. If the machines are very hot, they're very strong. If you can imagine, the torque that it takes to put a heel onto a shoe and what pressure that takes and what the leather or the fabric needs to go through. So there's a big test there. And then when the product is actually worn, maybe it's like a fine leather, and it's worn in the rain or in the mud or something. And we really get to test in a different way. There's heat, there's movement, there's weight. So 21 years ago, the first, recycled and sustainable materials, they were like marshmallows. I mean, that's like the first thing that came to mind. It was like worked over so much to become a material that was coming from something else, and it didn't have any. There wasn't a tight weave, whether it was a weave product or if it was made to be more like a leather. It had too much air. Almost, it was just moving in a way where we could make a shoe with it and it would grow 2 sizes. So we figured out how to back them and put shoes in the freezer in the beginning and do all the things it took to get to this point where there's better leathers than ever, but we think we can make something even better. So
that's awesome. And, you mentioned earlier, which is I find fascinating, is when vegan leathers first started coming out, I think I've done some work for the luxury car company, Lexus. And they were the first luxury hybrid, and they came out to kind of follow that sustainability story with at the time, they didn't even call it that. I called it the vegan leather, and that's how I would present it to people, but it was called New Luxe. And people, they kind of correlate luxury with leather, and they would think like, well, why would I want to spend money on a faux leather or whatever they would term it to be? But now what I love is that has shifted, because the quality is so good and people are starting to care more and realize, well, I can have just as beautiful a product and even better. I mean, to me, it correlates to something better than leather. So I was just wondering if you've experienced how you've seen people's mindsets shift on how they correlate luxury with leather versus a vegan leather.
Yeah, that is such a good question. Such a good one, because I have many layers throughout the years of when we developed the product from day one and all of the different hurdles that we went over. The first one would be production itself. We went to 16 different factories, or I did on my own at that time, trying to find one that would work with me making vegan shoes. Now, the Italians they don't want to make a cheap product. So they thought, oh, that's a cheap product. That's a horrible product. We don't make that product. So they didn't want to have anything to do with it. On top of that, a lot of them were connected to the tanneries, but that's another story where they wanted their cousin's tannery. You need to use that leather. But back to the topic of the whole concept of something being vegan was something that I've been, kind of fighting against the entire time, because I've gone through, even the buyers back in the day when wholesale was pretty much the only way to sell. And, the buyers were really intimidated by vegan products. And then it continued on and on. And then the customer, thinking that the product is, not leather. So why is it the same price, even though, like you were stating, it's better? Because, we have to think about thousands of years ago, the best material available to make shoes was leather, because that was thousands of years ago. And what we've got now is high performance, amazing fabrics. They work better with heat. They work better with movement. They work better with longevity and strength and sustainability. So we can create fabrics that are better than leather. And so that has been the mission of Mink all along, is shifting the paradigm, the way people see non-leather versus, leather, because they think, oh, this is a gorgeous shoe because it's leather, and it's not gorgeous if it's not leather. So we're really here to shift that. And then we're taking a step further by now actually making it leather. So, and the other thing too, just a quick note, is that the leathers that are out there maybe are not, when you've heard me use the word supreme leather, it's because they are, some, to me, they look like rubber, they're grainy, they're not a luxury leather. They're not going to replace to most people's eyes, like a beautiful calf skin. They might think this isn't going to be like that. So some of them are like cardboard. So and so there's a difference between finding that level where fashion can use it, where it has that movement and it has that, that's a luxury level. So,
and the innovation is very cool where we are now with things, right? It must be so exciting for you that there's so many different options of materials. Do you have a favorite material that's out there, whether you're using it or not yet? But is there something that you've come across, you're like, oh, this is really different?
Yeah, I mean, we have a really fun, we're going to start launching like a new style every single month. We've been working on a whole bunch of different styles throughout 2020 that were flat and awesome and, really strong and classic styles that you can wear forever, like, your combat boot, your sneaker, your loafers, and all the fun stuff. And I have in front of me this boot, which is coming out. It's going to have a different sole, so I'm not going to show you the sole yet. But this boot, I'm excited about this deep black color, and it's made of bananas. So that part is like a canvas. It's less of like a leather, and it's made from bananas. And like I said, we test fabrics harder than any other. We had to back this fabric because it was ripping. So we found a way to work with this fabric and strengthen this fabric and fuse this fabric with another fabric that we use that really can give it the strength we need for shoes. So once again, going through those processes where you realize, wow, we should really be doing this because we kind of understand. And this leather trim that we used, the reason we used it on the trim is because it wasn't really strong enough to take the whole boot or to work with somebody walking and kicking against it and different things. So we decided to use it on the trim because it's beautiful faux leather, and that's made from grapes. So that's the grape leather that is out there right now. So those are two fun ones that we're going to put out there. We place them specifically where they can show their strength, where there might be a beautiful fabric, and then that banana fabric, it's tough. It's just the only reason that we had an issue is because it was really giving it some testing on that machinery that we have in our factory.
That's so fun. Do you just go around wearing the boots and kicking things to see
I did. We had a photo shoot yesterday and I wore them on the shoot. And I really did kick up a storm because carrying everything in and out and working and being on a shoot, being the stylist yesterday. So it's definitely giving him a test.
I'm going to have you show some more shoes because I know you have them all back there. So that's very cool. What else is cool is, the faux leather from before, and I'm sure it's still being used. And of course that's, fine for me because I'm into no harm to animals, but
yeah,
the I don't even know what you'd call it. What you're talking about are plant-based materials, which is so interesting now that that's available to follow sort of the vegan story. So when did you become I know you said you were a vegan. When did you become a vegan?
Well, I became vegetarian when I was very, very young, when I was 4 years old, because that was my funny story where I was at a birthday party and this little boy told me that hot dogs were made from dogs, of all things. Can you imagine a little girl thinking that she's eating a dog? So it changed my life forever. And I started thinking about what I was eating. It just shifted my mind and I was already going there and I was 4 when that happened. So that was just really, it really was a defining moment. Then from there, I went into, when PETA first started, I found out about them through a newsstand. And so I was there with my dad and I found this magazine and I found out about them and I was really getting into everything. And I was vegan probably closer to like 10 to 12, really, where my parents finally let me have my own cupboard in the kitchen and all the things. I wanted to go to the health food store and get things because that's the only place I could get what I needed. And then, couldn't wait to get my car so I could go get my food myself. It was a time where there wasn't, when you went to a restaurant, there wasn't a vegan pasta. There wasn't those things. So you were eating a side salad. There really isn't a lot to eat at that time. So it was an interesting thing because my parents had to go through thinking that I was really in trouble. They really had to manage that as best they could, but I'm pretty strong-willed.
You have to be, because to have that kind of sense at 4, that must have been traumatizing to think that hot dogs were dogs too. They're still an animal, but to think that they're dogs, and then take that further and keep it going. I think if I did that to my mom, she would be like, well, too bad. But the fact that you're, because she'd be worried about my health and not knowing information like we know now, that's more, mainstream. I think it's amazing that they supported you with that. That's pretty special. And
well, poor them in the beginning, it was me sitting at the dinner table for 5 hours, and I was putting it in napkins and flushing it down the toilet, and going to the bathroom. And they really didn't have a choice, Tiffany.
That is great. I just watched this movie with my mom. It was a very strange movie. It's a musical. I had to buy the DVD because I couldn't find it on any, platforms. And it was called Athena, and Debbie Reynolds was in it, and it was from the 50s. And it's a very unusual film. And my mom watched it when she was a little girl. And this family that it's centered around, he trains bodybuilders, which was also very unusual back in that time, right? And there's these like very muscular men, and they didn't eat meat. And she's at a party, and the people at the party thought she was so weird because she wasn't eating meat, and they were trying to force it. Oh, look at this roast beef. But they didn't have a name for it. So they didn't call it anything. They just said, you don't eat meat. Here, you should eat this meat. And I just thought wow, it's very ahead of its time. And so you are very ahead of your time with all of this.
Painfully so, because I self-funded for a very, very, very long time while I really believed in this, because I knew that there wasn't the option out there. I knew that I was making it. And then in 2016, we had the option to partner and part own one of the best factories in the world for shoes. And it's female owned. And it was the first factory that made our very first shoes. And we had to find a way to do that. So we got involved with getting our first funding at that time in 2016. But really, I self-funded all the way through the whole process of people not understanding anything, of what I was up to.
Amazing. I mean, just such a true pioneer and your perseverance, is it the love of shoes, the love of animals, like with all the challenges that came forward, how did you stay on course?
Yeah, I always said it was not just about pretty shoes. I've always said that because it's the truth. As a deep passion for really shifting the way people see the leather, but also just knowing that you not compromise as a woman and have this beautiful shoe. And we're launching men's in 2021.
Oh, that's
and
exciting.
then because the combat boot will be unisex, so that'll start with that, and then keep going. But we just we're giving someone that option on the shelf so that they will choose it. Then what happens? Then what happens when we're able to shift someone's purchase is we're able to control supporting the cattle industry, supporting the slaughter industry, supporting the tannery industry, and supporting the leather industry, and just supporting the industry that we really love, which is maybe artisans that make beautiful products. And what's so interesting about what we do is that I know that everyone has heard of Florence for leather, right? So people go there and they get leather jackets and bags and shoes, and it's known for its leather because that's where most of the tanneries are for all of the leather that is produced in Italy. So what we do is we work with these artisans and we create non-leather. And it makes me so excited to be there. I just can't wait to go back. It's been the toughest thing of the COVID 2020, but being around them, seeing the passion that they have, ignites me to get that out in the world, and to get it out in the world in a way where you're thinking of sustainability and you're thinking of the animals, you're thinking of the people that work on it as well. How are they being treated? Are they in a good situation there? Are they around chemicals that they shouldn't be? Keeping the air fresh, keeping their comfortable level of work, and then taking it all the way across your product and having integrity all the way from beginning to end in every factory that works on your product. And these are things that get me up every single day because there's so much to do, for one, but also because it's really exciting to, be a company that is that way, that has true integrity all the way through. So here we are. I keep doing it.
It's pretty amazing that from the time of when you started to where you are now, I mean, you're almost more passionate. You're just like unwavering in your,
I know, right?
Your pursuit of this like lifelong dream. And it's amazing. And, there's so much to say about it because you're female owned, entrepreneurial. Now you've got a female owned working in the factory as well. Were they always on board for vegan shoes, or was this a learning curve for them as well? Or where, how did that transition?
Great question. Again, great question. Because it was first, I told you a little bit of how it took me, 16 factories to get to this factory that was female owned. And she said, look, I'm going to try to make these shoes. But then we're all excited and we're going to start working on this project. And she's walking me around the factory. And I'm like, what kind of glue are you guys using? And they were using an animal glue at that time. And I was like, well, I'm talking about every component. We're going to dig into every single part of a shoe. There's 30 components in making a shoe. So that people's mind was boggled because they were like, okay, so you take the shoe and you're like, there's a sole factory, there's a heel factory, there's even a factory for the little nub on the end. There's the glue, like I'm mentioning, there's all these different components that have to come in a vegan way. And they were just like, oh my gosh, like, how is this going to even happen? And then having to change the way they made it. And then what happened is the shoe was going around the chain. And as it went around the chain and our vegan, first samples, they were just melting. After all that work of putting together, going through the machines and just disintegrating because it was the beginning. So it was those older recycled materials from 21 years ago. It was the learning curve that we had to go through as a factory, because the machines were at a temperature that was for leather. So then we had to figure out how to find the highest temperature that we could use without melting the shoe, and figuring out that first so that we could run the shoe and create the shoe and, mount the shoe and make it. And so watching them go through that was, painful is putting it mildly. And then
it sounds like a lot.
because there's a lot of yelling and screaming in Italy that happens when you make some beautiful things. And boy, was there some serious action going on during that time. It was really, it's almost like I do identify with the Italians in this way very, very much, in that the harder it gets, the more they want to do it, the best they've ever even seen, So it's like, it's almost like the more you challenge them. So like I would go to Italy and say, oh, can I make a shoe, this gold shoe vegan like this? And they would say, it's impossible. It's impossible. You can't use the metallics. You can't use the metallics. And then I'm like, let's figure it out. Let's see if we can, and then they try to figure it out, and they dig in, and they have so much passion. They go. And then they figure it out. And then they're like, oh my gosh, look at this beautiful thing, and they really take pride in it. And just, they really like a challenge, they really like a creative challenge. And it's beautiful to watch that. And so I've watched them grow with me. And what it has done, which is a very interesting thing to note, like I said, there's 30 different vendors that are creating my shoe. If you can imagine, none of them respected me in the beginning. They were like, what the heck is this girl doing? Like, who is this girl and what is she doing? And when I talk to them now, they're just so impressed. They know I was doing this 20 years ago. They know I was the one begging them to make a recycled fabric. They know I'm the one that said, no, wool is not vegan and silk is not vegan. And they tried to push these products on me, and now they understand it. So that's been really beautiful to watch.
It's
really
so
fun.
Impressive to
so
see
fun.
the strength and the challenges that, sometimes, that's not always easy. You get roadblock. You're like, maybe I don't want to do this, So the fact that you keep on, everyone wanted to keep on going is so cool to then see the actual product.
Yeah,
and then that's got to be a big incentive. Be like, okay, we did this one. Now we can do, what's next? So
exactly.
Yeah, that's a very cool about Mink shoes. Is there like a favorite moment in your career so far that you'd like to share? Anything that comes to mind? You've just it's been such a journey, and you're in this like very important moment right now where so much is happening all at once.
Mm-hmm. I think it's I think it's right now. It's right now, because this year we're looking to get equity funding, which means so much, because we've been playing the startup game so long. And it's one of the things that was so interesting. And it literally, the first time that I experienced this was at the conference we met at. This is the very first time I experienced this. And that is that vegan companies and sustainable companies can make a lot of money, and they should. And that was a weird thing. It's like, oh, you're vegan, you're sustainable. Oh, like you have to stay small. No, you don't. The more money you make, the more you can do for animals, for people, for the planet. So, we're out to make money. And what was interesting is that, really wasn't a time that I went out and raised money. Why I self-funded it for 16 years is because there wasn't a market. So now that we have this market even bigger than ever in 2021 coming out, and we're going to be able to offer a leather, which means we're going to be able to go to furniture and home decor. We're going to be able to go to automobile and offer us a luxury leather there, vegan leather. And we're going to be able to go to the just things like to a yacht company. We're going to be able to go not just to footwear and fashion, we'll be able to go to the whole fashion industry and really connect with them and work with people that make bags, belts, and clothing and all types of things. So that expansion of being able to make that kind of a difference, to make a product that makes that kind of a difference, and then to continue making the shoes, which is the heart of the brand, and also be such a unique vegan leather where we also make a brand, so we understand making the product. And that just makes me so excited. That, thank goodness though, because after 21 years, if I didn't get this little amazing
Spark
moment, because I was saying, it's like you could say I've been working on the vegan leather 1 year, or you could say I've been working on it 21 years. And I say that because it's been really interesting, because it's like I kind of double take my own self and say, well, this was the whole mission statement of the company since the beginning, is this leather. So this, this leather is a problem, and it's a problem in shoemaking. And now we're able to take care of both. So I'm happier than I've ever been. And if I can, get that wire of that equity funding, that will be a happier day. I can guarantee, after all the hard work it takes to raise money. But for now, I'm really happy right now.
Yes, that'll be a really big celebration.
Yes.
Really pivotal moment. When you were talking about the shoes and the 30 components and what a big market this is becoming now, it made me think about, with all the brands that are out there now.
Yes.
I wonder if they also think in terms of all the glue, like that. That wouldn't have crossed. Well, I mean, I'm not in the business, but that wouldn't have crossed my mind necessarily. Does it cross all these designers' minds, or are they going for it, full circle, or are they just doing, just the actual material of the shoe? Or, I'm curious.
You are so good. Your questions they just keep getting better and better and better. I just can't even stop saying that, because it's so true. Look, we make other brands. We made the very first shoes for Kat Von D's brand, and we created Kat Von D's brand start where she needed to make shoes. She wanted to make really great shoes. And we really took our designs and created some awesome stuff to allow her to express her dream and do what she wanted to do. And so a lot of other people have come to us, to create their vegan shoe line. And a lot of them had already had vegan shoes. So a lot of people, since we made Kat Von D's brand and we worked with a lot of other collaborations, we did a collaboration with Too Faced Cosmetics, with PETA, with multiple other celebrities and different fun stuff. So people have come to us and they've been saying, can you make our vegan shoe brand, right? So they're at all different stages. Some people are in the sample stage and they come to us and they find out about us. Some people are coming to us with a product they already have on the market, they're already selling. And some people come to us wanting to start from scratch and have us help them. We obviously can't take it all on. We're focused on our own brand as well. But why I'm mentioning it with what you're saying is that we have been given samples by other vegan brands, and we opened them up and we looked at all of the components on their previous samples, and they were not vegan. So this is like a really big deal, like a really, really, really big deal. So we privately told this one brand because we wanted to, we're out there to make more vegan shoes available than ever before. Why did we make Kat Von D's brand with her? Because we want all types of shoes available, her style, our style, everyone's style. So we are out to make more vegan shoes available, right? So we didn't want to ruin this brand by doing anything, by telling the world that their product actually hasn't been vegan. But this has happened, unfortunately, more than one time. So there's especially in heels, there's a lot inside here. So there's a shank and there's different materials inside. There's materials that are making the strength for the front and the back. there's something in there, right? And a lot of times if they're working with like I was saying earlier, didn't understand that wool was not vegan and silk. Is the same thing when they work with materials that are maybe a compounded leather. So it could be like a compounded scraps of leather, and it looks like cork, kind of material. And, I've been told before that was not leather. And I'm like, what do you mean it's not leather? And I start breaking it apart. In the very beginning, I remember someone telling me that. And then once I learned it once, I was like, that stuff is not, it's not, so we had to create our own components that were non-leather. So we know that if you made that shoe and you didn't create a custom component, sometimes, we're pretty clear that it probably does have leather. Long story, huh?
But that's so scary. Fascinating because like I said, you wouldn't have necessarily known. You think people are out there to make a vegan shoe.
And they don't mean it, some of them. Yeah. Sure. And it's really quite, it's a tough one because when they're given the product by people, there really isn't any way unless they break apart the shoe and have someone really, take a look at that, like ourselves, it's someone that would know. But really it's easy for the production to give you a product that has leather in it with that many different components.
Well, we're happy we have you to be the sleuth,
the leather
apart,
police.
and really, really checking it out and making sure it is what it says it is. I really, those are the brands that I support, is the ones who do it right all the way. And other people will say something like, well, they're trying, so at least they're trying. It's like, yeah, but there's others that are doing it right, or at least trying to figure out how to do it, And so those are the people that I personally am going to support. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're the best.
You were doing that. And I love your shoes. And so they all have like animal names, right? I have the bunny flat, the little glitter flat, which is super cute. And I just love, I think I have the black, is it the black glitter? I think I have. I also like that pink glitter. I mean, who doesn't love glitter? I just, glitter is everything.
We're working to get a cool topic. We're working to get some biodegradable leather. We've been working on that. And it's really tough because we tried one that was made out of minerals and it just like disintegrated on us. And it was on your hands and it was like all over the factory. And it was just like, as they were making it, was falling apart. And, our factory workers would go home, they take a shower and they'd still have it all over them. It was just like, couldn't get rid of it. And it was really that wasn't the reason we stopped working. It was just actually not going to be able to hold the pressure and the movement. Because the shoe, you're like an architect and it holds weight and it moves. So we really can't just be a pretty fabric. So we have to have that strength.
Yeah. How often did you go to the factory, BC? You could say BC, right? Before COVID.
Oh, you're hilarious. Oh gosh. This is such a great time to get out of this. Yeah. I used to go about every 6 weeks and I just loved it. And my dog
Monkey went with you, right?
Yeah. He went every single time and he would just be on the plane with me under the seat. And he was genius. He would just sleep like a little baby. And he went to all the factories. There's lots of pictures of him in the factories and really, really lightened everybody's day when he would go by the factories. But I honestly have to say my favorite part of my job is to be in the factories. It really is my favorite part because like I said in the beginning, the artisans are what get me up every morning, that I'm bringing their beautiful work to the world. And they are so fun. We have a coffee and they love to talk in Italy and they like to drink wine at night and they like to really connect like family. And we have this relationship with all of the vendors and you miss them, so you go there, you see them and you go through things with them. They're family run. So they're a little dramatic at times and you kind of grow with them. And so it's really great to go there and be involved with the product being made. It's fun. Just even, when I was there watching them work on a very difficult shoe right before this COVID happened, they were trying to shave the bottom and then it wasn't working. And just watching something not work and have them figure it out and how they we're going to, reshape the soles so that it would work. And, problem solving in making beautiful luxury products is, it's just fascinating to watch. So I can't wait to get back.
Oh, it's so lovely. We have neighbors that are Italian. I love them. They're from Sicily.
Oh
And
yeah.
Ignazio, he is so dramatic, and he just goes in. You could hear him. He's like speaking Italian really loudly. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can't wait to go back and travel. That will be.
Sometimes you think they're yelling all the time, but
Right.
they're not. They're just actually talking.
They're just talking. Right.
Yeah. And it's funny, they're done when they're done, too. They'll be yelling about a shoe, and I'll be sitting at lunch all timid, eating my slice of pizza with no cheese. And they'll be like, fine. They'll be like, let's have a beer. And I'll just be like, what? You guys are just yelling at each other. But, it just kind of is, it's just, it is a way, it's a way of, I don't know, in the culture itself, it's there, but it's in work, it's really there. There's that, you did it wrong. It needs to be this way. And then go in the right lane.
Do you speak Italian?
I do. I understand a lot, and I really still embarrassingly use a translator for all like technical and all phone calls and Zooms and stuff, because we have such detailed conversations about things that I am not capable of taking it there. But I really do. I've honestly worked too much to spend the time when I'm there, because I just like focus on so many different things. And I really will make the time in the next trip to try to speak the whole time, because it would be to my benefit, being that I'm not going anywhere and I'm going to be there for life. So definitely the Italian product is hard to work with anyone else after you've been addicted to their product. They make a product that is just so perfect. So it's so incredible that you can deliver thousands of shoes and have, no problems with them. This is unheard of in other productions. We, even in our factory ourselves, we x-ray every single shoe before it leaves, and they look at all the nails and exactly where they are and whether there's going to be anything coming through, and really take it to that level where everything is double checked and triple checked, and make an immaculate product. And they box it like they care about it, like it's just their favorite thing each and every time, over and over again. And so you get these high quality products from them that, quite honestly, you just really can't get anywhere else. And I know that from experience. I bought a buckle from somewhere else, and everyone talked me into it's a cheaper buckle. I'm like, all right. And it wasn't from Italy, and it broke, and I had to pull those shoes, and it was really so destroying to me. I couldn't sleep. I was like, oh my gosh, I made a product and now it's just broken after all that work.
Recall. That's such a bummer.
It's devastating. It happened just once to us, and then I'm like, that's not happening again. And if I use a buckle from Italy, I've never had any problem. So it's just that level of quality, and it's expensive. It's expensive because the labor is expensive. It's expensive because the materials they use are expensive, and the time, they take extra time to make things. And they've got talents that come from, fourth and fifth generation. They really deserve to be given, the gratitude for that. When I first saw the industry and saw what people pay in production and what they charge, the retail level in, let's say, Rodeo Drive stores, it's crazy. So what we do is we do direct to consumer and try to keep that price more of it's luxury for sure. It's very expensive, and that, for the things I mentioned, but we're not doing a big crazy ad campaign where we need all this extra money. So we're just trying to keep it tight and as best we can for luxury product.
I mean, I've always had a love of shoes, and now it's even upped the level to know what really goes into it, because just like disposable fashion, I mean, there is disposable shoes out there, and I keep my shoes. Not all of them are vegan, but moving forward, I'd like them to be as much as possible, obviously. And I'm not buying any new shoes because I have so many shoes, but I keep my shoes. I have shoes that are 20 years old and I still wear them and I love them. And, they're still
That's
very
great.
relevant as far as style.
That's great.
Do you have a favorite shoe? I know it's hard to pick just one.
I think,
What's your current favorite?
One of our shoes, I like the first collection was quite close to my heart because we named the shoes Pig and Cow and Chick. And we even named one Cock. We named one Tuna. And it was just like really fun. And the Pig shoe was just such a classic first mink shoe because we were really, really pink at the time. It was like a hot pink shoe.
I remember
really,
your box. You had the pink box. Which
and the boxes. The original boxes were so fun because I had a friend that created these cartoons that we made a specific sticker that went on each box, the very original collection. And they were just so fun. And it was really, it was one of those things where when you make your first collection, you do all these things that are just ridiculous. If you were going to think about volume production, and at that time I was just starting the first collection. So I wasn't really clued in on all that stuff. So we took it to that level where the detail was just ridiculous. And so those first shoes were really fun, the first collection. And there was specifically a shoe called Pig that is really very close to my heart.
Oh, that's fun. I don't know that one. Well, and then you were able to do some custom for celebrities. I love that JLo shoe. And I think I should have a GWT for Green with Tiffany one day. But now you've been able to bring that to everybody can have a cut, maybe not that particular one, but a custom shoe, very specialized to their foot and size. And tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. That is so great. Thanks for mentioning that too, because that is, it is just really was a frustrating thing. We were making shoes for Miley Cyrus, Madonna, Natalie Portman, Pamela Anderson and Jennifer Lopez. And it takes 20, 30 emails to get these shoes done, right? Because you have to go back and forth and with this and that. And it was impossible to do that for everyone because it just really wasn't going to be a way that we could manage that. And the price was just so ridiculous that it just was just not really affordable at all. And so what we did is we created this website that you can build your own shoe on. So we're going to continue to add styles. We launched during COVID and we were planning heels because we had planned it pre-COVID. So there's heels on there now, but we're launching a new shoe next week that's going to come out on pre-order, which is very exciting.
Yeah.
A fun loafer slide flat that is just really, really ridiculously cool.
I love them. They kind of max.
I would. So we're, we're kind of putting out some of these awesome flats and getting them out there. But we created this custom made to order in a way where we felt like we wanted them to feel like the celebrity, be able to find exactly what their shoe size was. And we always did fittings. So we decided to send the clients their closest two sizes to their size so they could actually try it in their own home.
And then they get a little red carpet too when they finalize it.
Yeah. So what we do is we send them, for example, you might not know if you're an 8 or an 8.5, right? So we send you an 8 and we send you an 8.5 and it's 38.5. And then you get to try it on at home. You get this little red carpet to walk on. And then you know exactly what size you are in that particular style, which helps for ordering later. And then sometimes women keep the try-on size that fit them. So then they end up getting 2 shoes, which is really fun for them because they get this unexpected fun shoe in their size, but they get the time to be able to figure out what fits. And then they send them back and it works very seamlessly. It's included in the cost. And then it comes back to us and we start making that shoe. And you should see the emails when they get their shoes. I mean, it's so cute. Women are just emailing us that the shoe is so much better than they expected. And that just happens over and over. And then we have loyal clientele that then, we want to invest in knowing their size because we care about them and they keep coming back to buy products because we once again, make that high quality Italian product that just can't find anywhere else. So
that's got to be so rewarding. That's so awesome. I wanted to read this quote that I had seen that you had said, and I think it's just absolutely so true. The luxury brands of the world should be vegan and sustainable to truly be current and fashionable. And that's where we are now, I think. I think it's something very, very special.
Thank goodness, right? Thank goodness we're here.
Finally. Now. I mean,
goodness gracious.
I mean, you've talked about so much what you love about what you do. There has to be so many things, because I'm sure there were many hurdles as an entrepreneur to just kind of maybe I'm going to throw the towel. This isn't going to work. But you kept going so ahead of your time. And that's what I just love. And I'd see you at events and fashion shows. And now I'm so thrilled that it's at a place where it's becoming more popular, becoming more mainstream.
Yes.
And
so exciting.
I am really excited for you and all the new fabrics that are available and all the innovation, and to really do the full circle of being a true vegan shoe, throughout. Yeah. Is there one, I don't know, the thing you love most, or goals that you hope to achieve?
I think what's really interesting is this next phase where we are going to have an investor at the level where they possibly could be more of a strategic investor. So one that is, for the first time, Mink won't be standing alone in this great big world. And I'm really, obviously careful about that. And, we're always going to be 100% vegan and always be as sustainable as possible. And that's not going to change. It's in our rule book. But thinking of who is that? Who is it out there that is going to benefit from all of our amazing work for 21 years and us theirs possibly, and really take that up a notch and get to the level where these organizations that own larger, other fashion brands, like the one that owns Stella McCartney, that owns other brands as well, or the one that, they part own, and they have a lot of power in the world because they're able to move things and shake things and say, you want this Gucci shoe? Well, you got to take this Mink shoe too. I'm just saying, for example. And then a lot of companies like Kering or, LVMH, or, they are becoming more sustainable. So there is possibilities to find partners that can be really big, but also can you move the needle, but also you can stay exactly who you are. And that's a really interesting phase for companies. So I'm kind of excited about this, a little terrified, but that's something that's, the best thing in the world to do when you're scared of something is go right for it, because, there's something really real there. And,
nothing to fear but fear itself. Is that
exactly. Whenever I fear something, I'm like, well, I'm just gonna, do it like full speed ahead. So here we are. So I think this is going to be, where vegan brands become really big. That's the point here. And that's genius, right? Not even just myself, it's for the other brands. We've watched the Beyond Beef, which is amazing, and the Impossible Burgers, and Miyoko's cheeses and different awesome brands. But we've really, really, seen the food ones pop up in a big way first, and now fashion. So it's really cool to watch everybody grow.
That's very exciting. I see sustainable fashion as it's really all over, more than I've ever seen it before. And people are very interested in it. Yeah. I'm loving that people are caring, and I'm happy they have you as a go-to, whether you're working directly with them or, just because you're leading the way as the pioneer who's doing it right from the start and able to give guidance if needed, it's very exciting. And I feel
so much to do. So fun.
I'm so happy to watch my friend grow and just exceed in this arena. And then I'm so excited, for our planet, for the wealth, and health of animals to be realized that we don't need to have their body parts or skins as, something that we use. And so
anyway, we have better. on top of it, and that's the thing that's so great, is to put something on the shelf that it's not just it's not competing with it. It's actually showing a better way that you can, grab that shoe and actually it's more comfortable and, there's no compromise in any way. And that's a game changer. Move it into belts, bags, and everything else, and that is made in leather and non-leather. And, the world will get there eventually.
We're getting there. So new styles to be launched next week. Yes.
Yes. This is so exciting because this loafer is one of the pink is going to be called Flamingo and the black one is called Crow, but we're just having some fun with some slide loafers.
Yeah. These some more to come that people really can cherish and keep close to their heart. Special.
Yeah, it's really great. It's great to see other companies changing. It's great to see companies like Mink growing and yourself. And here we go. It's time for all of the industries to really catch up with each other and go for more of a sustainable, eco-friendly, and care about the planet, the people, and the animals, and make a lot of profit while doing so.
Absolutely. People and profit and caring about the environment can all work hand in hand. And I'm happy that people are finally seeing that. So minkshoes.com, right? Yes. Is where we can find you. How do we know?
Yeah, Instagram's a great place at Mink Shoes to follow us because we always kind of pop the new shoes up there. And then you can fill out our email list, and we always send out some email blasts when we get some new products.
Okay, good. Are you still doing the hippo? Is that still?
Yeah, that one's, we're a California company, and, we have an Italian product, but we're a California-based company, and people just love that hippo slide, and it just is such a great year-round shoe here in California.
It is. I need that. I only mention it because I know I need a pair, so.
Oh goodness, you absolutely do. I cannot believe you don't have one of those. That is such a must. Yeah, you can even wear them hiking or, looking glam. They're really comfy in every way. So we'll have to get you a pair. They're so amazing.
They're really pretty.
So perfect.
Well, thank you.
Right,
this is Rebecca Mink.
Thank you so much.
And she is definitely out there and choosing to care in all that she does and puts out in the world. And I'm thrilled to call her a friend, and amazing that she is this female entrepreneur that has this go-getter attitude that is not wavering. You are
no way. Thank you. I hope so. Lots to do.
Thanks, Rebecca. And I can't wait to see more success with Mink Shoes.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed the show. Please rate, review, subscribe, and share on Apple Podcasts. It would mean the world to me. You can find me at greenwithtiffany.com and on Instagram. Till next time, choose to care.